Good morning. My question to you is, how does the president exercise the war power constitutionally? You have different models to pick from. For some reason, the Supreme Court tells us frequently that this is a government of enumerated powers. It's really not a government of enumerated powers. We don't try to enumerate everything. What we have is a government of express powers. You can read them in the Constitution. But we also have a government of implied powers. If you can reasonably draw a power from an express power, that's part of our Constitution. So if Congress has the express power to legislate, it has an implied power to issue subpoenas, to do part of its investigation. The president has implied powers to remove the heads of executive departments, etc. So we have express powers and we have implied powers. And the part I want to talk about George W. Bush is his effort to use something called inherent powers. I'll give you some background on that. There's also a concept of emergency power. We've only seen it used in a big way, successfully, I say, one time. And that was in the Civil War, where President Lincoln took certain emergency actions, withdrew money from the Treasury without an appropriation. He called out the militia. He put a blockade on the South, suspended the writ of habeas corpus, etc. The part about Lincoln that preserved the Constitution was he never claimed he had constitutional authority to do what he did. In fact, he said to Congress, he reported to Congress on what he did. He said, whether my actions are strictly legal or not. He gave it away right there, whether strictly legal or not. He also said, I don't think what I did goes beyond the powers given to Congress in Article 1, so he gave it away there. Namely, he was exercising what he thought he had under Article 2, plus what Congress has under Article 1. And the only way to preserve the Constitution was to be accountable to Congress, explain what he did, why he did it, and depend on Congress either sanctioning him or authorizing retroactively what he did, and Congress did the latter. And when Congress debated his request, it was done with the understanding that he did not have authority to do what he did and needed statutory authority. So that moves us now into inherent power. I invite all of you to look at the dictionary. What inherent means, it has something to do with something intrinsic to something or something in the nature of something. Obviously, there's no way to understand what inherent is. So anyone who tells you I have the inherent power to do something, you should be on guard. Examples, Bush is not the first one. Truman, 1952, he seized steel mills. He claimed in court, the Justice Department, that he had inherent power to do that. He did not need statutory authority, he claimed. He claimed in court, which is not a great argument, that the judges could not control the president, that the president was subject to only 2 checks, that's the ballot box plus impeachment. The judge didn't like that argument. Very peppery decision rejecting inherent power. And the Supreme Court in the Youngstown case upheld the district court. In the Nixon years, President Nixon claimed he had inherent authority to do domestic surveillance, particularly for anyone who didn't like the Vietnam War and complained about it. You could do domestic surveillance. That got in the courts, in the district court, in the Sixth Circuit, in the Supreme Court. In the Keith case, that was held not to exist as a power of the president. Nixon also claimed that he had inherent authority not to spend appropriated money. It didn't matter what Congress wanted to spend. It didn't matter that he signed it into law, that he could do what he felt like in terms of expending money. He could cut it in half. He could zero it out. There are about 80 court cases on that. And administration lost about 78 of them, including the one that went to the Supreme Court. And that's when I came to Congress at that time. This is early 70s, and I worked with Congress on legislation. In 1974, Congress passed legislation placing constraints on what presidents can do with impoundment, statutory constraints.